everyone, and welcome to another episode of Taco Matta Tuesday, the show where we eat healthy, delicious tacos and have conversations about life. In any moment of decision, the best thing that you can do is the right thing. The next best thing you can do is the wrong thing. But the absolute worst thing that you could possibly do is nothing at all. In life, there are going to be so many moments where we are put between a rock and a hard spot, and we are going to have to make some tough decisions. I know that I have not been a stranger to that over the last month or so, and just was put in front of another situation where I have to choose, where there's this fork in the road, which way I'm going to go. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that here in a moment. But before we do that, let's go ahead and talk about the taco of the week. Speaking of talking, was chatting it up with some of my clients this morning about how to make the breakfast time healthier. She's currently focusing on just getting one meal at a time, just a little bit healthier than it was. And so she's starting with breakfast. And so we were talking about breakfast options. And that's what inspired me to bring back one of my favorite tacos of all time, which is the green eggs and steak tacos. Y'all, one of the best. I'd say this is a fan favorite. The steak and egg combo is delicious. You just need to have it, especially because there's homemade green chili. You're freaking welcome. So if anything, go to the show notes and grab the recipe card because the green chili recipe is freaking amazing. But again, the whole idea is that you eat the taco because, well, that's good too. So, all right, let's go ahead and let's jump on in. So last week we had a conversation about how to find your glow again. And one of the things that I'd given as a piece of advice to help just step back into your glowing, joyful self again is to make tough decisions. And so it was only fitting to bring that into this week just as its own topic about how to navigate tough decisions and how to make them, how to go through with them, especially because I was put up against, and I don't want to say put up against, but I had something else occur in life, nothing bad, all great things. But now I'm sort of at this fork in the road of I've got to make some decisions. And while it's not like the toughest thing in the entire world, it is one that, if I don't make the right one, I could potentially regret it. And there's nothing worse than that feeling of regret. And so I wanted to dedicate, like I said, this podcast to just what it is that I had experienced and what I'm still going through, along with some things that I've been thinking about in the instance that maybe you're about to make a big leap. Maybe you've been put again up against a bigger, tougher situation where you have to make some decisions. This podcast is for you, and some things to think about and some steps to take in order to know and feel confident in the fact that you will make the right decision at the end of the day. So I kind of mentioned this last week around, again, the whole tough decisions when it comes to finding your glow again. And I recently, like I said, I let go of a relationship in my life that was hard, especially when you really care about certain people. You get invested in their life and you just want the best for them. Sometimes the best thing for them is to let them go and to let them find their peace, find their joy again, find who they are again. And I feel like I did that for this individual, and again, wish them nothing but the best. Well, to continue forward from that, now I am facing another sort of decision of what it is that I'm going to do around my athletics. So again, nothing bad. I'm okay. I'm not injured. Everything's good. But last Thursday, got the notification that American Ninja Warrior is coming back for another season. And so I sent it off to my best friend, Megan, who's been on the show several times. And her and I, funny enough, like about a month prior to this whole thing happening, is we were having a conversation about if the show was going to come back, if NBC decided to bring American Ninja Warrior back, which a lot of us weren't sure if the show was even going to be continued. So we were kind of all just waiting to be like, okay, that was a great season of life. Let's go on to the next thing. So it's ironic that it did. But we were talking about if it did, what we would do and how we feel and kind of where we're at in relation to that being in our lives again. And so at that point, I remember telling her, like, you know what? Like, I feel like I'm in a really good spot to go for it. Like, I feel like I've gotten stronger. And more importantly, I feel like mentally I'm in such a different place that would allow for me to take on those moments when you're behind the scenes and it's, again, 4 a.m. in the morning and you've been up since, 7 a.m. the day prior, just up on set. All the nerves are kicking in. You don't feel well. Like, anything and everything could happen, right? I've experienced a lot of different things in just my 2 seasons of being on the show. And so I was like, I feel like I'm in a better mental spot to actually take this on. And when I saw the thing on Thursday, obviously sent it off to her, and I sat there for a minute, and I wasn't as excited. I was like, shit, if anything, because I just have had mixed feelings around it. And it's just been a lot to process, for those of you that haven't been following along, or just as a reminder for those of you that have, my seasons on American Ninja Warrior, while there have been some really bright, sparkling moments of being able to share my story and impact people on set, I haven't had the performance that I know that I'm very capable of having. I've fallen in on the second obstacle both seasons. None of my stuff has been featured, and quite honestly, I could care less about how well I did, and more or less just for those people that need to hear my story, that have hit rock bottom and are looking for a way out. It's a very relatable and real story that I feel like a lot of people could get a decent amount out of. And so it's just been bummer after bummer to just be rejected and feel like you're not enough, especially as someone that has struggled with you're not being enough a lot. So when I think about applying again, I think about the rejection of maybe not even getting the call back this year because I haven't done as well. I think about getting the call and falling in early again and sort of that sense of failure. There's just different things that I've thought about. And so I've taken some time just, to not really have a ton of conversations, just to put it out there like, hey, this is kind of sitting with me in a weird way. I need to unpack it and I don't know when that's going to be. And so I've taken some time to unpack it a little bit and I'm still in the process. And so again, want to share what's going on through my head to potentially help you through whatever situation you're trying to make a decision on. So the first thing, and you probably gathered this from just the story so far, is just sleep on it. Now, I get that some of us, maybe this has to do with work, or there's extenuating circumstances that are requiring you to make a decision fairly quickly. I get that. And if it makes you feel any better, I have until July 31st to get in an application, which is a month and a half away, which is part of my reason of holy crap. I just don't know right now if I have the capacity for that. But don't feel the need to make the decision right now in this moment, because you have to remember that there's a lot of things that are happening for you, right? You're trying to weed through your emotions, and emotions are not always true. Granted, you should acknowledge them and you should unpack them, but they aren't always right. In addition to our thoughts, you probably heard a lot of my thoughts about it were negative off the cuff, and that's kind of a natural thing for us, right? Is we always look for ways to protect ourselves. That's how our brain is built, because that's how we were built to survive way back in the day. So taking the moment to just sleep on it and not necessarily silence your thoughts, but just give yourself a second to just have all the thoughts, right? Write them down, process them, and then sleep on it. Maybe the next day you'll wake up with more clarity. Maybe it takes a couple of days or so, but I just want to share with you that you shouldn't feel this pressure to figure it out right here, right now, in this moment. In fact, what I truly believe in, and this is kind of how I've operated as a business owner, even as a personal trainer, when I have thousands of freaking programming hours to get done for all of my different clients, not thousands, but you get it. I do a lot of stuff. I really believe into leaning into those flow moments, those moments where you're sitting in the car or you're taking a shower, Maybe you're just sitting on your back porch and admiring the view. But out of nowhere, right, it hits you. And sometimes I've had this when I'm sleeping and I literally wake up and write things down. Crazy when it happens, but I truly believe in those flow moments. And I've had a couple of those since then because I've just given myself the chance to not put a bunch of pressure on myself and to just pause, right? Think what I need to think, take a chance to sleep on it, and then have that flow moment where I can start to process more of those things and get creative ideas and just things along those lines. So hopefully that gives you some permission for you to give to yourself, that you can take a moment and that nothing is going to change if you make that moment right now or make that decision right now, unless you do choose to make that decision right now and it happens to be the wrong decision. So don't rush it, especially if it's something that is fairly important. The next thing, and this goes along with that flow moment as well too, is just looking for the signs. Instead of trying to handle everything on your own by keeping it up inside your head, obviously writing things down, saying it out loud. Maybe you have a listening or a soundboard between your dog, your cat, even like family members and friends. That's amazing. But don't forget the power of the universe, right? And how things in life 9 times out of 10 are always working for you in your favor. And so I'm really big on, again, not only just allowing for things to flow naturally, but hey, I'm thinking about it, I'm processing it, I'm sleeping on it, and now I'm going to kind of put it back out there and let the universe show me what's meant to be, right? What are those signs that, hey, like, this is telling me that I need to go for it, or you know what, this isn't flowing like it should. This isn't going like it should. Maybe it's a change that I need to make. I need to go a different direction with this, right? So how can you be opened and kind to yourself to just allow yourself up to see what signs you can look for that could potentially help you in making this decision? And hopefully that doesn't sound too airy-fairy or the woo-woo stuff, but like dead serious, guys. Like, there is energy and there are forces out there that are putting things into your life for a reason. Let's take a moment to just acknowledge them and listen to them and get curious about them versus just trying to handle all this crap on our own inside of our head, which is just so hard, so freaking hard. And it rarely ever leads us to the right decision. So that's my thoughts on that. The next thing, and this was a big one for me, was to forget the how and get clear on the why. The first thing that I thought of was deadline is July 31st. And I thought of, okay, how am I going to even put together a submission video and an entire application, which obviously takes some time and some effort and some passion. And when I do things and I make the decision to go after it, I don't half-ass it. I go all in on it. So I know that I would spend, some time doing that. So I thought about trying to juggle that with, I'm traveling this week out to Connecticut to do some Deca races, and got some more stuff coming up in August that I'm preparing for. I've got an uptick in clients, like just, there's just a lot of things. And so that kind of stressed me out. In addition to, what in the world is my submission video going to be this year? Like, I feel like I've talked about everything. How do you continue to stay fresh and creative and make it pop to a bunch of producers that you're worthy of being called back, which is, guys, the truth about television. You could be one of the best athletes in the world and they might not ever pick you. It's all about the flash and the fluff. And that's kind of another reason why I'm like, I don't know if I necessarily need that in my life right now, but I digress on that. So just the hows on a lot of those things was honestly stressing me out to where I was like, I'm definitely not doing this. Like, I think that this is a done deal in that way. But when I started thinking about, okay, you know what, let's push that to the side. Let's pretend that I have unlimited time to give all of the effort towards this and not think about those boundaries and situations right now. Why do I want to do this? Why, more importantly, why would this benefit my life, and why would it make me a better person? I think that's such a great way, such a great question to ask yourself to guide your decisions, as far as like, if X was to happen, how would it benefit my life and help benefit getting to the future me, making me the best of the best person that I want to be. So maybe you need to sit down and ask yourself that question is, Why? Just purely, why would this change me for the better? Or if I was to do this, why might it not be the best thing? Like get real on that too, almost like a pros and cons list. Just being able to see those two things, but just drop the timelines, drop all of the things and the checklists that you got to do and get done. That'll come, right? If you have a super strong why and you're very convicted around why you want to do this thing, the how and the what are going to come. So take a second to chill pill on that and just focus on asking yourself those very important questions. The next thing that I thought about was listening to my gut over listening to my ego. The ego side of Kayla is like, you're so much better than you were the last 2 seasons. This is your time to show yourself that you can. And quite honestly, let's prove those people wrong. Let's prove the producers wrong that didn't think you were good enough to air. Let's prove all those people that maybe were laughing behind the scenes that you didn't do that well or that you never have seen success. Let's just make the story different. That is ego talking, right? And if I was to make a decision based off of that, there is a large likelihood that I'd make the wrong decision, right? To do something when my heart is not really in it and it's not going to benefit the future me. I want to listen to my gut, right? If I'm taking the time to sleep on it and process it and let the universe show me signs, right? I'm getting to that quiet place where I can also go internal and think about what is ultimately going to be the best thing for me. I want to listen to that gut feeling that I have. And I haven't totally gotten there yet, just as an update, but I would encourage you to think about, what voices are in your head, and is it the ego or is it your gut? And listen to your gut, because rarely does your gut ever steer you in the wrong direction. The last thing in regards to navigating tough decisions, being able to make them, follow through with them, is I would encourage you to play out the situation in your head. And I want you to see yourself on the sidelines of the situation, right? So for me, for example, I see myself sitting on the sidelines watching Megan and watching her brother John and all these people that I love, right? And I definitely see myself having a certain amount of joy of just being able to see people that I adore getting to do what they love because they're doing it for all the right reasons, right? So I see, myself out there for filming and all the things, and it's just so fun and amazing, right? So freaking cool. But then I also see myself sitting on the sidelines being like, I wish I would have tried. I wish I would not have let fear of failing, fear of rejection, fear of just things that don't matter, quite honestly, take over from me not going after it. Because at the end of the day, Ninja has been that thing for me where it's allowed me to find peace. It's allowed me to find joy. It's allowed me to challenge myself in so many ways and just better navigate life. That's what I love about the course, is literally an obstacle course is like running through the different speed bumps of life, and each one that you get over, even when you get knocked down or you fall on your face, you just keep getting better and better because you just choose to get up. And you choose to listen, and you choose to not back down. And that's what that sport has given me. And so I feel so true to that calling that there is something more for me in the sport. Granted, I have priorities right now, and Ninja is not one of them. Ninja is like the fun hobby that I have that I get to do maybe once a week. I'm obviously, as you know, very wrapped up in trying to make it back to World Championships this year and race in the Elite DECA Strong Wave. That's just really important to me. That is where my heart is at, and I try and stay so aligned to that. But all of that to say, play out the situation in your head and see and just listen to the fact, like, are you feeling relieved about the fact that you're sitting on the sidelines and you made the right decision? Or are you feeling regretful about certain things? And what are you regretful about? Are those things actually important? Do they matter? Or is it that ego again kicking up? Would you realize that it was fear and insecurities around failure that was keeping you back ultimately, and that those things, again, are not true? Or is it the right decision for your peace, for your joy, and for ultimately staying true to you? So by being able to play out the situation in your head as best as you possibly can, hopefully you can ask yourself those questions and gain more clarity. And what I want to leave you with, you guys, is that with every decision, right, what I said there in the beginning during that quote is the best thing that you can do is the right thing. The next best would be the wrong thing. And the next best thing would be nothing at all. So don't sit here on your hands doing absolutely nothing, right? Be brave and be so trusting in yourself and your ability to handle whatever it is that comes on the other side. Whether the decision you make is the right one and it leads to all the most incredible outcomes, trust that you can handle that success that comes after that. Whether it's you make the decision and maybe it was the wrong one, trust that you're going to be able to learn the lessons that are going to take you to greater heights later on in life. But whatever you do not let the fear of failure take over this trust that you have built in yourself, this belief that you've built in yourself, this courage that you have built in yourself, that no matter what happens on the other side, that you will be able to handle it. Because I promise you, you absolutely can. Thank you guys so much for showing up for you today. And if this episode truly impacted you, please be sure to share it with friends and family that need to hear it. And if you haven't already, rate and review the podcast. Thank you guys so much again for just listening, being my therapist on the other side of the microphone. I'll keep you updated on what decision I end up making around applying for the show. It's going to be a ride either way. But next week, I will be probably really tired recording the podcast because I will have just gotten back from Connecticut doing 3 decas in one weekend. I'm so excited. Get to finally meet my team and throw down with them. It's going to be absolutely amazing. So I'll be super stoked to share some fun stories with you guys. So until then, have a great week and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.